So if you haven't seen this documentary, I recommend it. I love documentaries because they're true stories, at least true from certain perspectives. But when you look at this man, Rulon Gardner, somebody that I've admired pretty much my whole athletic career, at least for the last 20 years, 21 years since he won the Olympics in 2000, Olympic Gold Medalist, and who he won it against, Alexander Karelin, who is the Russian experiment, was just absolutely phenomenal. But this documentary really isn't about Rulon the athlete. It builds him up as the athlete, but it's about Rulon, the overweight, out of control, addicted to food person. So these are words that were said in there. And I don't mean this to be condescending or insulting. I want to help the guy. I really want to help the guy. How could you not love Rulon Gardner? Because I believe that, number one, Rulon's weight issue is not the common sedentary, couch potato, obese person. This guy's an athlete. He knows how to burn calories. He knows how to overcome obstacles. But what happened, two occasions, not one, two occasions, but on one occasion, severe hypothermia because he was at high altitude where he dropped a snowmobile through a riverbed at high altitude. It's getting dark out. His body is wet. He's trying to wrestle the sled out of the water. He can't do it. He's detached from his friends. No one knows where he's at. After several hours, and certainly by 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, his friends are saying there's no way he can make it. He's dead. He's dead. Rulon survived severe hypothermia in Wyoming. Again, body wet. He's shivering all night. It was like 25 degrees below zero. He recovers from that. And then what happens in February 2007, Lake Powell, Utah, he gets in a plane crash. The guy survives a plane crash. It dumps into the lake. It took him 2 hours to get out, again at high altitude, freezing temperatures. And again, his friends are saying, this guy's dead. When they got him to the hospital, his body temperature was 80 degrees. The paramedics said, there's no way you should be alive. And then the trauma was that the doctors thought, because he had severe frostbite, that they were going to amputate his legs from the knees down. They said, and then after they gave him some treatments, and Rulon, being the fighter that he is, it's like, oh, we're just going to amputate your feet. Just amputate your feet. Ultimately, after months and months and months of therapy, hyperbaric chamber to increase blood flow, which is nutrition to the tissues, he only lost one toe. Okay, so the point that I'm getting at with this hypothermia thing, what's happening with Rulon's weight now is exactly how he is programmed to hold on to and accumulate body fat. It's a survival gene. Hypothermia once is enough to trigger it. We already have it as our caveman gene. It's survival of the fittest. Our body is made to hold on to body fat. It's the ultimate source of fuel. And the interesting thing about fat in the body, it has the capability to do two things. Hypertrophy, which is the enlargement of the cell. So a fat cell can always enlarge. And also, what's so interesting, and I think it's specific to all the cells in the body, fat cells have the capacity for hyperplasia, which means the increase of cellular population. So not only are the individual fat cells growing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and they never go away. Even when he was on The Biggest Loser, they don't go away. They just shrink down. It's like taking air out of a balloon. You still got the balloon, but you lost the voluminousness of the balloon. His metabolism is wrecked with this hypothermia, which again, this is a natural defense mechanism that literally saved his life. His ability to be efficient with body fat allowed him to survive through these two traumatic occurrences, dropping a snowmobile through a frozen river, and then plane crashing, not crashing on land, he crashed in a lake. So Rulon's, in my opinion, and you could have a lot of opinions out there. At least what I'm saying, I believe it's plausible. Is it 100%? Probably not. But I believe that Rulon's brain has become so over-conditioned in preparation for survival, the survival mechanism, the survival gene is to hold on to body fat. And no matter what he does, it's not conscious, it's an unconscious, superconscious, subconscious, whatever you want to call it. Rulon has a super powerful conscious mind. He became Olympic champion, and then he won I think a bronze medal at the 2004 Olympic Games 4 years later. So it's hard to be an athlete for 4 years, 8 years, however long that he was, and he was on the world stage. Athletes like Kurt Angle just interviewed him and stuff like that. But Rulon Gardner, he's my hero, and I have a lot of heroes who've gone through a lot of tough things, and if I could give some kind of advice or voice out there, there's something in his psychophysiology, the gene mechanism that triggers that we got to hold on to body fat no matter what. And then when he's at home, his brain is always thinking, how can we add more fat to our body? And his body is craving the bacon and all this other stuff. So it's something that you really don't have control of. That's what's so maddening about it. His sister said that Rulon has an addiction. I can't remember the exact phrase. He has an addiction. It's not an addiction. Rulon, don't put that on yourself. Your brain is exactly the way it should be conditioned, because in a survival situation, whether you drop your snowmobile at high altitude in a riverbed or your plane crashes at high altitude in a lake, and they're both sub-zero temperatures, and you survive that, and you almost have your legs amputated and your feet amputated and your toes amputated, your body is responding accordingly. So your body in a survival situation will hold on to fat and cleave nitrogen from muscle. And at the same time, because muscle is made out of carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen, it cleaves the nitrogen. So you had a negative nitrogen balance. Is either positive, equilibrium, or negative. And in those traumatic states, he's definitely in a negative nitrogen balance. And I guarantee before, if they measured his body composition, and afterwards, he lost a lot of muscle, because the muscles, thermogenesis, it's creating friction to create his body heat. It's just a miracle this guy survived one of these accidents, let alone two. Rulon Gardner is a tremendously powerful man, but at the same time, his body is conditioned for trauma, and the chief fuel source that guarantees, or at least has the ability to have a capability to survive in these traumatic survival situations, is body fat. I hope I make sense, and I hope this isn't insulting to Rulon, and I hope maybe this will spark something, maybe hypnosis, maybe there's a drug, maybe there's some type of treatment that Rulon can go through to help him reverse what he has admitted. He's admitted in the documentary, he's not a happy guy. He doesn't like being overweight. He doesn't like walking into a room and people looking at him how big he is. He's self-conscious. It's a tough thing mentally. Rulon, I love you. I'm sure the world loves you. Take care, and just understand that you are not have lost control of your body. Your brain has a preset in there. It's a survival gene that allows you to stay alive in traumatic situations.